Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for being here. We're going to kick off a few minutes early because I got too much stuff and I'm going to ramble through this. So listen up, and you have the slides and resources I'm going to provide, and me as a resource for you as well. So this is patching, get under the hood. Session ID is THR2042. So if you're going to tweet, make sure you add that as a hashtag so we can keep track of the discussions and things like that, and can get back to you for questions and concerns as well, okay? So my name is Harjit Dhaliwal, Microsoft MVP. I do a lot of patching, and I'm very active on social media. You can find me on Twitter, right? Follow, engage, and I will connect with you guys. All right, so we got a lot to talk about. I may not be able to get through everything. I may skip some stuff, but you'll get the gist of it. We'll talk about the anatomy of patching, the ABCD weeks, my process, how I do patching, some maintenance stuff, and we'll just get into that, all right? Okay, so the anatomy of patches. What makes up an anatomy of a patch? There are three things, right? There's the update metadata, which is the update catalog, which consists of the detection logic, the name and where the binaries come from, stuff like that. Then you have the update binaries, which are the files that do the updates. And then you have the EULA, the user agreements. Can you guys see the slide? Yeah? Do I need? OK. Oh, I can't click it. Sorry. I should stand here then. All right. So patching schedule. This is important, right? So how many of you are currently doing patching? OK. So hopefully everybody knows that the actual patch deployment cycle by Microsoft is the Patch Tuesday, right? It's a second full Tuesday of the month, right? So sometimes you'll find like the first of the month will fall on a Wednesday, and then you think the next Tuesday is going to be Patch Tuesday. It's not. It's actually the Tuesday has to fall, the first of the month has to fall on the first Tuesday, and then it becomes so it's always a second Tuesday of the month, okay? Patches are deployed starting at 10 a.m. on Pacific Standard Time. That's where Microsoft is located, and then you guys will start seeing it in your WSUS and things like that in your organization. They include things like all the cumulative updates, the .NET updates, IE, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you'll have some out-of-band patches. Sometimes you have patches for patches and patches, right? All sorts of things like that. So as you saw, last month when I created these slides, Patch Tuesday was on October 8th, right? Makes sense. That's correct. But is Patch Tuesday really on Patch Tuesday? It's not, right? So as you can see here, March 15th was the day after Patch Tuesday, and so on and so forth, right? So with patching these days as patching as a service, it's happening all the time. So you have Patch Tuesday, and then sometimes the very next day you'll have some patches again, or the week after you'll have more patches because the previous one got superseded and stuff like that. So you guys really have to pay attention to this stuff. Oftentimes, a lot of these patches that go off the Patch Tuesday cycle, they are non-security related. They're bug fixes and stuff like that. So if that's important to you, use it, right? So you saw, I said Patch Tuesday last month was October 8th. There are patches on the 15th and the 21st as well. This is the last time I captured the slides, but there are other patches in the month as well, right? I just want to give you guys an example. Have you guys heard of the A, B, C, D weeks of patching? Right? Some of you are confused, like what does that mean? Well, the A week are usually Office updates, right? They are non-security updates. They are MSI-based. They come out a week before Patch Tuesday week. Then you have the B week, which is the actual Patch Tuesday week, right? They include your critical updates and stuff like that. Then you also have your C and D weeks. These are like the preview updates, things that they are testing, and if you want to install them, fine, but you don't have to. You should not do those if you don't need to. These updates actually get rolled up into the actual Patch Tuesday the following month. So you can just, they'll get rolled up into a new CU and stuff like that. Sometimes you'll have also Office updates will come out on Patch Tuesday weeks. So they do come out a week before. You don't have to deploy them. You can wait till Patch Tuesday. Some get superseded, and then you can package them all together. And if you guys notice, I've been putting links and stuff in my slides for reference for you guys to click on to get more information. Okay? Update classifications, right? This is important because oftentimes you're like, wait, what do I select in the update categories and stuff like that? Like, am I doing criticals? Am I doing security? Am I this and that, right? So I'm not going to get into explaining what they are. They're basically address critical stuff. They address non-security stuff. They address hot fixes, and so on and so forth. You also have things like definition updates as a classification. These are for your endpoint protection and Windows Defender stuff. These come out at least 3 times a day, sometimes more, right? They just come out maybe 1 in the morning, and then a few hours later get superseded, another one, as they keep adding new things for malware detection and stuff like that, right? You have your service packs, you have feature packs. They are product specific to fix things. Service packs, you guys have known, it's like for things like SQL, right? SQL Service Pack 2 and things like that. And finally, you have things like upgrade. Those are for your Windows feature upgrades to move from an older Windows 10 build to a newer Windows 10 build. Okay? Again, more information for you guys. Windows Update for Business, also known as WUFB. Right? I'm not going to get too much into it. It's a love-hate relationship with a patching community. These are mainly catered, right now, it's mainly catered for small businesses and things like that want minimum control and just consumer-like experience. It's just like you are a consumer at home. That's kind of how it works. There's very little granular control to it. So it's not really ideal for the enterprise organization, right? So someone like you, so that's what you're doing. There are 2 sessions. There was a session yesterday that I'm going to give a plug for that talked a lot about this. The new WUFB stuff that's coming out is going to have some group policy stuff that you can control. There's some reporting things. So there's a session by Jesse McGartha. It's BRK3258. It's called Transforming Update Management with Cloud Control. That was yesterday. You can look it up on the recorded session. There's another one by Arya Kali, THR3024. That's coming up later at the end of the day today, around 4 o'clock, I think. It's THR3024. Provide a great end-user update experience by utilizing Windows Update Management policies. You guys should attend that one. Okay, they'll cover more about this. Okay, now we're going to dive into Config Manager and WSUS, right? I think most of you are using Config Manager to do stuff and patching and stuff like that. That's what I do, okay? So with Config Manager, you have the software update point, which is a management layer that sits on top of WSUS, right? It controls WSUS. It's there to do that. WSUS really doesn't do a lot. It sits behind the scenes and stuff. WSUS doesn't do the approvals or declines or scheduling and stuff like that. All of that stuff, once it's set up, is being done by Config Manager. Okay? There's a database that gets created, a susDB database, which then gets replicated to the Config Manager database and so on and so forth. So when you're using Config Manager to do updates, there's some planning things you got to do. There's 1,000. How many of you knew there's 1,000 update limit? Yeah, quite a few. Good. If you have more than 1,000 updates in your deployment, they're never going to deploy. They're never going to work. You're never going to have compliance. Even if you try to create an ADR, if it reaches more than 1,000 updates, the ADR is never going to run. So you got to make sure you have it below that. How do you do this? You can create use search criteria, which I'll show you in a sec here, on how you can change things and say, you know what, limit to this ADR has these things that I want, and then create another ADR for whatever, right? That's how you do your deployments. And even Even when you're doing manual updates, if you're not using ADRs and you're just selecting, hey, I've got last 2 months patches, select them, download, select them, put them in a software update group, you still have to make sure you're less than 1,000 updates. Okay? Patching best practices, it goes without saying. Every month you should create a new software update group for that month, and I'll show an example of mine in a sec. And this is to help you with controlling them a little bit more, having a better management view of it. You can have compliance against that particular software update group for that month. If you want to know how you did in July versus in October, in November, that's how you do that. For endpoint definition updates, they come out so frequently, you should use the same software update group all the time. They come in, they get deployed automatically. You don't have to create new ones. And then otherwise, you're going to have a bloat in your console, which is not good. All right? I encourage you to use the criteria for 2 months when you're searching for updates. The reason is that you will miss out updates if you just use that 1 month because of since the last update sync versus now, there will be a gap of a few days, and you're going to be out of compliance for that. You'll see in my ADRs in a second here. Microsoft's patching strategies is basically simple. They've gone to the cumulative update model. Back in the day, we used to have like 60, 70 updates every month, right? It was crazy. And when you had a problem with one of the patches, you can uninstall that, but you can keep the others. Well, you can't do that now, right? It's cumulative. It's all packaged up into one little package. And if you have a problem with that, that's it, right? It's either that patch gets removed or you install it. You have separate updates for like Internet Explorer, Servicing Stack. Sometimes you have like emergency patches and things like that. Those come out separately. You also have .NET patches have gone to the cumulative update model. They used to be separate. Now they're all into one family. So that's kind of nice. Then you also have your preview quality updates and stuff like that. You don't need to deploy those in your organization unless you want to try to do some testing and stuff, because those gets rolled up into the following month. Okay? My process. Okay. So I have my software update syncs twice a day, 3 p.m. and 3 a.m. every 12 hours. And then I have an ADR, some ADRs that will run very late at night on Patch Tuesday, let's say 11 o'clock at night. And this allows my systems that I've been scanning against ConfigMgr, reporting in, getting policies, and saying, oh, wait, based on your last update sync that you got, this is what I need for patches. And then your ADR runs, it puts all of that together, right? It creates the packages, the deployments, and stuff like that. And then I pay a lot of close attention to what's going on in the industry. Are there some reports, on listservs and social media and stuff like that? So I'm always sharing this information out there. Guys, watch out. KB, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is causing blue screens and stuff like that, right? So if that's the case, on Wednesday morning I come into work and I pull that patch out from my deployments before I actually enable the deployment. Okay? So I got part automated and part not. So I've got basically 2 deployments. I've got a no delay and I've got a delay. The no delay goes out to all my servers. I've got all my server stuff, right? Basically, deploy now, install now. And you're wondering, like, wait, are you installing patches in your servers in the middle of the day and reboots? No. What happens is I have maintenance windows set up on all my server collections. They're overnight, right? 12 to 2, 2 to 4, whatever. What this does is that it gives your servers the ability to download the updates, and they're ready to go, right? They don't need to do that later at night. They're ready to go. When the maintenance window hits, they start installing, reboots happen, and you're happy. The delayed deployments are for workstations. So we've had a lot of pain points where users were saying, hey, I'm sitting in the middle of a meeting or something like that, or I'm trying to teach a class and stuff, and my computer just had patches and is rebooting, right? So we deploy patches, we make them available, we give them a bunch of days, they become mandatory the following week on a Monday at 5 o'clock in the morning. So users can install, do all the reboots, they're good to go. Monday comes along, nothing happens to them. So just 2 deployments. That's it. Simple. Software update groups, I told you the different months, right? Just to give you an example. Okay, ADRs. There are all sorts of ways people do ADRs. Some of them are really, really complicated, and then they wonder why they don't have patches that are working, right? They do like, products, and they do the classifications, and they do all sorts of things. You really don't need to do any of that stuff, right? This is the way I do it, right here, with the arrow. Okay? It's simple. Date release or revise, the last 2 months. Required, I choose the required filter, because I only want what my systems want. Yeah, I'm going to miss out a few, but I do a manual approach after that. I just do a search. Oh, I'm missing these 5 because some new laptops or something came online, and they didn't capture it before my ADR ran, right? So I do that. Give me all those patches that are not superseded. I don't want anything with the preview or Itanium. You can see that here. I have a minus sign in front of it, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Don't give me those. And you know what? Give me everything. Give me all these classifications. Give it to me all, right? That's how I do it. Then you can also do ADRs by products if you want, right? Windows Server 2012 or 2016 or Windows 10. Some people do that. That's fine. I don't do it this way. I talked about the negative sign, right? That's called negation filters. So if you use the title filter, and then if you put a minus sign, and you say minus preview off, minus Itanium, minus whatever, it doesn't capture those in your deployments, in your package. Okay? There are some concerns, right? I talked about the 1 month. You will miss out on patches if you do that, because from the last update sync and stuff like that. Required is a hot and cold thing. Some people like it, some people don't. I use it. Make sure you are not running your, do I have it in this one? No, I think it's the next. Wait, hold on. Yeah, we'll get to that. It's okay. All right, so the other thing you have now in ConfigMgr starting with 1802 is the offset scheduling. So I'm sure there are a lot of you here who are from non-US based. You may be from Australia or Japan or whatever, right? So when Patch Tuesday is here on Tuesday, it's not Tuesday for you there, right? Patch Tuesday for you is on a Wednesday, or it could be on a different day, right? You can use this offset scheduling to sync up with the Patch Tuesday cycle if you want to. Okay? Maintenance. This is important. We think that, we just set it. WSUS is not a set it and forget it thing. There's a lot of maintenance you need to do to it. It'll lock up. It'll bloat up. The database will be bloated. There'll be, you have to clean up. You have to do indexing and all that stuff, right? Re-indexing. Expired updates will sit in there. So you need to do this. There are some settings in ConfigMgr where you can set and say, you know what, expire all superseded updates in X amount of time, or just expire them right away. And I choose the right away one, the immediately. I don't need to keep superseded updates in my environment for no reason, right? The actual expiration of the updates only can happen by Microsoft in the global catalog. Microsoft is the one that is in control of actually expiring updates. Once they expire updates in their global catalog, and when you run a sync, that is when they get removed from your entire organization and your WSUS. Okay? When you are doing ADRs, if you have multiple ADRs, don't run them at the same time. So let's say if you schedule them at 10 o'clock, don't run all of them at 10. Do one at 10, another one at 10:30, things like that. If you do it at the same time, you're going to cause SQL locks, and your ADRs will not work. Okay? Also, make sure that you run your ADRs after a software update sync has happened, a successful software update sync. Don't run it before, and don't run it very close in time. I usually give I tell people give it about an hour. If you have your software update sync running at 9 o'clock at night, 9 p.m., start your ADRs at 10 o'clock, at 10:30, or 11 o'clock at night. Give it enough time to do that. Considerations, yeah, I talked about this a little bit. You do need to do some fixing. This is really important. You will find at times that your environment just hoses down, right? Your WSUS or your config manager server is just like bogged down. You can't even click anything. It's like all locked up. It's usually because of this WSUS or the IIS stuff, right? So you should make some of these tweaks on your WSUS application pool in IIS. Increase the queue length, set your private memory and all that fun stuff. If you don't do this, not only that it will spike up CPUs and stuff, you will also have your clients will not be able to scan against your environment to get updates. So when your clients are actually scanning and they say check for updates, it'll run, and then they'll get an error. It'll say 0x, blah, 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 like that, right? Okay. That's what's happening. Once you fix it here, it should start working. Reporting in Config Manager, not so great. There's a dashboard in it, whatever. It is what it is. There are some free and paid reports out there. That's really, really good. You guys can check it out. And you can also build your own reports too. Okay? Won't get too much into this. So here's now time for resources. These are all the things about me, about what I do. All right? Okay? These are resources for all patching stuff. This is an important slide for you guys to have. Okay? There's a patch management forum that you guys should join. It's email-based. It's on Google Groups. And there's a lot of discussion about, hey, is anyone else having problems with this KB 123456? Or, hey, I just saw a new patch in my WSUS. Are you guys seeing that too? Whatever. Just recently, a couple of weeks ago, there was a patch for autopilot that suddenly showed up. And it's like, wait, is that right? Is that right? We're not doing autopilot, but why am I getting autopilot, right? One of those things, that's a good resource to have. You have Reddit, forums. There's a Windows Update Twitter handle that is really, really awesome. It's just @Windows Update. You guys should follow that. Known issues that are with each month, with each patch and stuff like that is a good resource, as well as error codes down here. So when you have people reporting, I've got this 0812375C, whatever. What does that mean? Well, there's a site here to tell you exactly what the problem is, to dive into it. Finally, my last slide for resources is about maintenance. How to clean up your WSUS, how to run scripts to do that for you. Expire updates, obsolete updates, all that fun stuff. How, if you have CPU spikes, what to do with it. What to do, right? So this is a good resource for you guys. Finally, I was interviewed at MMS earlier this year, and we talked about patching. And one of the things I said was patching is awesome. To me, I really find patching really fascinating. There's a science to it, right? You got to know how to do it, and once you do it right, it's awesome. So I say it here, but you can't hear it. So I'm like, patching is awesome, patching is awesome. Anyways, thank you very much for being here. I really appreciate it.